Hello, what's up guys, I'm Kyle from KGR, and today we're going to be doing a review on the Figma Dark Magician Girl. Now, this figure came out months ago, and yes, I'm very late to this party, but I have it now, and I'm absolutely in love with it, no lie. The reason why I kind of wanted to pass on this is because of the fact that it's kind of a sex appeal character, and a lot of people are going to pick it up for those reasons, and I kind of wanted it because it's a Yu-Gi-Oh character, and I already have the Yu-Gi Figma, and I absolutely love that figure. Like, it got me to fall in love with taking pictures all over again. And I'm picking up Kaiba, so when I see this is coming out too, I'm like, you know what, let's complete the collection, screw it. There's a lot of things I like about the figure, there's some things I don't like, but let's get into the review. Now, I'm going to say this right now, this figure is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm not talking about the face, I'm not talking about the sex appeal, I'm talking about the color palette and just overall how it's made. Like, they got everything really accurate, everything looks absolutely fantastic. But the reason why I love this figure is because of the color palette, is because if I look at my shelf, there is a wide range of color on my shelf, but there's no characters that have this color range at all. So when I put it on my shelf after I got it, and I was making a few poses, playing with the figure, trying to learn like what I like and what I don't like about it, I just fell in love with it. Like, it just pops out on my shelf and it just looks gorgeous. So in my future videos, you're gonna see it, and you're gonna probably see it on my shelf. It looks amazing. Now, there's two different arts of the Dark Magician Girl, and they went with the Japanese one, and I don't blame them, because one, sex appeal, and two, it's original, I guess. They just censored it everywhere else, so you can tell that because there's a little star in the center here, and plus the fact that she has boobs and a butt and shit. And I'm gonna get into this right now because I know a lot of you pervs are gonna be curious about it. But yes, she does have a butt, you can see up her skirt, but what I find hilarious is that they actually gave her legs butt cheeks. That is freaking great. Now, there's a few things I don't like about the figure, so I'm going to get those out of the way. The first thing are the shoulder blades. Here, they are hard plastic. With the skirting, it's a very soft plastic, so you don't have to worry about it being hindered by the legs articulation at all. But these, on the other hand, it's a hard plastic, and they did put it on a swivel so they could try to make up for it, but they end up hitting the hair, so it kind of stops it from moving. So if they would have went with a softer plastic, it would have like allowed the arms to move a lot more freely, which, don't get me wrong, you still get a decent range of articulation with the arms, but if they went with a softer plastic, you would have gotten a little bit more. But another thing I don't like is if you're not too careful, the paint ends up transferring. But from what I'm seeing, it seems to be a problem with both the shoulder blades and the legs, because the legs can pop off as well, and you can see the paint is kind of transferring a little bit. But luckily it's hidden, so you don't really see it. But here on the hat, it doesn't seem to transfer onto the blonde hair, so that's really good. But still, the fact that the paint seems to be transferring is a turn off. But what can you do? I love the fact that here they kept the boots really round, and when I first saw the pictures out, I thought they were going to be completely round, and I was concerned, will it be able to stand up by itself? But they made the bottoms flat, so you probably saw earlier, yes, she can stand up by herself. But there's not much to be said. Like, they got the colors right, they got the sculpt right, like, everything is beautiful on this figure. Each figure is going to have a problem or two. Like with mine, you see like a little blue mark on the pink on here, and this little arrow looking thing, but that's just a problem with my figure, and you may see a problem like that on another figure but in a different area. That's just a factory problem. But overall, the paint on this looks absolutely great. I just don't like how this transfers. But other than that, this figure is gorgeous. I love the way the face looks too. Like, I love the eyes, I love the blushes, like, it just looks really great. So now let's move on to the articulation. Now, I do want to mention the hat does come off, but yeah, if you want to look at the hair, yeah, there's no paint transfer, so that's really good. But you need to take off the hat in order for you to change faces, so fun fact. So anyway, when it comes to your articulation, it's Figma affair. You know almost exactly what the articulation is going to be, but for some reason, this is your first Figma review, or this is the first time you're like getting into Figmas, I'll give you the rundown. You got a special head. It's not technically a ball joint, Figma joint type of deal, where you can go up and down, left and right, and move side to side, but because of the hair, it is very, very limited, so there's not a lot you can do, but it's there, it tries. I mentioned earlier how these are on a little swivel, so if you want to count that, then fine. But the shoulders are very universal, so they can go forward about this much, they can go to the side about this much, which if these things weren't here, they'd go up a little bit more. So the fact that you get this much range is still pretty decent. It's just that normally you get more. And you got your little bicep swivel up in her armpit. Oh, you can see there's paint transferring on there as well. Ugh. Anyway, you got your elbow bend, and it's really good for a single joint. It almost acts as a double joint, so I love these little elbow joints so much. They pull off so much range. Because it's Dark Magician Girl, we have these little cuffs right here, and those have a little swivel on them as well, so that's really awesome. But personally, I'm not going to really touch them all that much because they technically are supposed to stay on this side anyway. So if you're going to move it, just move the wrist and you'll be fine. So they're on a ball hinge, so that's really decent. But trying to see how the ball hinge is positioned is more of a pain. But I like the way how they have it hidden, at least when it comes to like a viewing angle, because you don't see that and it just looks really good. And they have these little cuffs right here. Now normally with the old Figmas, like just look at Asuna, like the original Asuna from Sword Art Online. If you pull out the hand on the old system, it would just be a hinge, like and a peg, and it would stay on the cuffs. But while with the newer ones, like they came out with the ALO version, now they have the cuff behind the ball hinge, so you don't have to worry about pulling off the hand and having the cuff come along with it. This figure, on the other hand, it's not really hidden behind the ball hinge anymore. But if you pull just the hand, and if you're careful, the cuff stays in there, so that's really nice. But for some reason you can accidentally pull this out by mistake, so it's not as easy to lose, but it is still relatively easy to lose anyway, so just be extra careful when you pull that out. You have a bit of an ab crunch right here, but because of her chest, you don't really have too much motion going forward. Going back, yeah, you got some motion there. And you do get a little bit of motion down here as well, but it feels like it's more just the legs moving. But don't worry, you do have articulation down there, you're fine. Just like the shoulders, the legs are very universal as well, so you can go forward this far without popping out of socket, so that's really great. Then they can go back about this far, they can go sideways and stuff. Then you got the knee joints, and here with the knees, sometimes they go with big joints, sometimes they go with small joints. Recently they've been going with a lot of small joints, but there's always a figure or two that goes with the bigger joints, and it's a big turnoff. It's mainly Kirito that gets those joints, and it's ugly, but they want the smaller one, so it's a lot more attractive, and it's more well hidden, and you still get plenty of range in there. And then we get a little swivel in the boot as well, and then we get an ankle rocker, but unfortunately, because of the way it's sculpted, you don't get a lot of articulation in there. But it doesn't really matter too much, but if you're turned off by that, then I'm sorry. But there's not much you can do about it. But let's be real, if you're going to be posing this figure, you're going to have it floating anyway, so it almost doesn't matter. Anyway, like I said, basic affair, there's not much to it, at least when it comes to anything new. Like, it's a Figma, it always has great articulation, so they add a few things to the table, but it's not much. I'm not going to say that I'm not impressed. Like, it's still a great figure. It's Figma. Like, it's always good, but it's just, I don't know, let's move on. Now let's move on to her accessories. I'm going to go over her faces and her hands first before we get into all of her other fun detail accessories. But first, let's go over the faces. Now we got the standard face right here where she's just looking forward and smiling. And then we have this face where she's looking off to the side. And normally I'm not a huge fan of these kind of faces, but with the poses that I end up pulling off on my shelf anyway next to Yugi, this is actually a very good face. And then you have the winking face, cause it's a girl and it's anime and kawaii. When it comes to hands, she has standard fists. We have open palms, a set of gripping hands, but one with a pinky up, and I actually like that a lot because now she's classy. A set of peace signs or V for victory, I don't know. It looks cute. And then we have this singular hand dedicated to another accessory. Now when it comes to her actual accessories, we start off with her wand, or staff, whatever you want to call it. And then we have this book, which apparently is called the Magic Formula. It's based on a legit spell card. Now, I like this, but unfortunately there's no detail in the book whatsoever. And it would have been really cool if it did come with something, but alas. And the stand, I honestly wish was a bit bigger, because it does come at an angle point, which is, I guess, kind of good, and it's on a little ball hinge. But no lie, this little, no, it's not even a ball hinge, it's like a ball peg, I'm sorry. But anyway, like, it's a ball joint, and for some reason, I feel, like, really iffy about it. Like, I'm scared to pull it on and off, because I'm afraid I'm going to snap it. But I wish it was a bit taller, so I could actually put the figure on the stand and have it look like it's floating without having being too close to the ground, because this is about as high as you can get it. And as you can tell, it's not too high. So if it was bigger, it would have been nicer, but it's whatever. And then we have a set of replacement legs. Now these are bent to an extent that the Figma joints can't pull off, and it's supposed to kind of match some of the art, which is a really nice touch. I will give them that. But putting these on can be a little bit of a pain. It's not hard, it's that if you don't do it right, it gets annoying. Now what I mean by that is if you don't do it right is here, if you just simply just pull the leg out, the ball socket will stay in the little joint, and getting it off is a bit of a pain. So what you gotta do is like you gotta like overextend it until it pops out, and you try to rotate it, but it stays like that, so it can be annoying. So if you try to simply just pull it out like this, the ball socket just simply stays inside, and that's something that we don't want. So you're gonna want to put that back in, or if you want, you can pull it out, and this, in my opinion, is a little bit easier. Then rotate it the other way, and then just push against it, and then you're good. And then it comes out. Simply as that. And then you put in this little leg right here. There you go. And her hat fell off. Wonderful. And then you take off the boot. There you go. I don't know if I'm saying about or a boot, but in, you know, Canadian. So anyway, you try to put this shoe on, but it can be a pain. So what I do recommend is first up, take this off, then put the boot on. But as you can tell, like, it's such a deep angle. It's a little bit of a pain to get inside, but when it's in, and then you simply just put it back on, and then you're good to go. And no lie, as I was filming this review, here the little shoulder blades, here they have like little rings in the front and the back, and they actually broke during filming. So I had to run to the store, get some super glue, and fix it. So be extra careful with the shoulder blades. And here, if you would have pre-ordered this figure through Good Smile's website, you would have gotten this little tack right here. And no lie, it does look really great, but you would have paid a huge different amount for this thing. And in my opinion, I'm not sure if it's worth like an extra $10 or so, but if you really wanted it, then you could have gotten it. But if not, then maybe it might be floating around on eBay, but honestly I doubt it. But if you find one, then maybe pick it up. Depends on how the price is. It would have been a nice touch to actually include with the figure instead of Good Smile having their own little pre-order bonus like GameStop or something. But hey, it looks cool, but I don't have it, so yay. So overall, what are my thoughts on this figure? Despite the flaw with the shoulder blades and what seems to be a normal new Figma problem where sometimes it has trouble staying in a stand, like it's been better than others, but it doesn't stay in as tight as my older Figmas. But with Yugi and one of my Kirito figures, like it barely stays in there at all. But this one is a bit better, but it's not perfect. Still, overall, this is an amazing figure, and I do not regret buying it, and it's a great part of the collection. And if you want one, you better pick one up now before the price goes up. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. So if you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. Also, check out my Instagram so you can see some pictures of not only this figure, but some other figures in my collection as well. And let me know in the comments, are you picking this figure up? If you are, I recommend using the link in the description, because right now that is the cheapest place that I can find them, and they're probably gonna go up in price really soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love y'all to death, and I guess I'll see y'all in the next one. And the next figure I'm gonna review is most likely gonna be the Figma Link from Twilight Princess, the DX version. So look forward to that, unless I get a figure in between then. But that's gonna be my next planned review. Again, thank y'all so much for watching this video, and I guess I will see y'all in the next one.